I was wrong. It was so wrong.
So what the flick, everybody? Ben Mankiewicz, Alonso Duralde, Christy Lemire. A couple of movies this week, Prometheus and Safety Not Guaranteed. The big one is Prometheus, Ridley Scott's first movie since Robin Hood a couple of years ago. What do we got?
Well, it's the turn of the 21st century, and archaeologists have found maps from different countries, from different centuries, and they all have this cluster of 5 stars, and they think that it's a map to finding the creators of life on Earth. And somewhat nefarious corporation funds a big expedition to find this planet, and then bad shit goes down.
You can make every one you do. It's like you're doing it for 9-year-olds, and they would be, and they would be totally into it. You know,
Barney comes with balloons.
It doesn't matter what the movie is. No Country for Old Men. Right.
They find a book full of money and everyone dies.
Or Grown-Ups. Right. It's the same intro. It's the same intro. Anyway.
Shouldn't say this though.
Oh, sorry. So
no, not for 9-year-olds, Prometheus.
This was badass. I had so much fun, and I was sitting next to you and to Matt Atchity, who is sadly not with us today, and but he's alive, he's not dead. And every once in a while, I would just smack you, or I would just smack him. I was like, oh my God! And I was curled up in a little ball in my seat, and it was a blast, and it's beautiful, and it's visceral, and then the more you get away from it, the more you realize, like, there's stuff wrong with the plot.
Yeah, I mean, like, my thing, I think there's sort of 2 issues here. One is, I think the film is gorgeous. I like the way it looks. There are some very exciting moments and some very scary moments and some really great suspense. But the script goes out of its way to not be enigmatic for more than 5 minutes. Like, anytime you have any question about anything, they can't wait to explain it to you, which that drives me nuts. The other thing is, this is a prequel to Alien. And
don't call it a prequel.
Yeah,
they
don't call it a comeback. It's a
It
prequel.
is.
He can deny it as much as he wants. This is a prequel to Alien. And as such, you have to take it in the context of the Alien series. And when you have to live up to Alien and Aliens, which are these 2 modern classics of sci-fi horror, this one's not quite at that level,
No, it's not. But nothing is on the level of Alien for sci-fi horror. So, but I guess I knew that it was a prequel, and now it's really hard to read about this movie at all without people talking about it. That's why I don't think we have any problem discussing it openly. But I didn't think about it in that context, and I think you are certainly able to watch this movie independently and not think for a second that this has anything to do with Alien.
I mean, you don't have to have seen Alien or Aliens to get it.
No, I don't.
It stands on its own.
Of course, it stands on its own. But I'm saying you can drop that from your head because it's not clearly. Well, I mean, there are parts that are reminiscent of it, but it's not. You can get through the movie and not think about that, and I think that helps it.
I think it's kind of hard not to think about it. Between the mistrustworthy robot and the corporation with the shadowy agenda and...
the strong woman in Noomi Rapace.
Exactly, yeah. Is it Rapace?
Uh-huh.
Okay, good. Yeah, she's great. I thought, she and Charlize Theron are both terrific, I think. And Charlize Theron, after last week's Cuckoo Bananas Snow White and the Huntress, her Huntsman gives a totally lockdown, deadpan performance after being all blah.
And it's much more powerful when she's just stoic and
totally.
quiet.
Yeah. It's
she's scary.
It's a yin-yang thing. But yeah, so because of all those elements, it's hard to divorce it from its roots.
I'm not going to spoil your number yet, Christy, but it's interesting because you said that the farther you get away from it, the more holes you realize are in the plot. I'm guessing if we had seen this and then the next day gone and reviewed it, number would have been much higher.
Yeah, I mean, we all hung out after the movie, and I was like, oh my God, it's rad.
Yeah.
I loved it. But then the more you think about it, the more you're like, well, how did this character do this? And also just the sense of spirituality they bring to it, right, is very, very hit and miss. They kind of approach the notion of
big questions,
creation versus Darwinism, and the possibility of being a scientist and yet also having religious belief.
What if God turns out to be this advanced alien civilization that just went You know?
And also, it's sort of arbitrary. I mean, they assume that this is an invitation from these aliens. If so, why are the aliens inviting us back to their planet
what makes
to destroy us?
What made them think they were being invited?
Okay, so they were not being invited.
Yeah, they're like those people. They hear you're having a party, and they're like, "Oh, well, you know," and they just sort of.
There was stuff like that stuff, and this is a commentary on me as much as the movie. Every time they started talking about the big questions, I got a little more bored.
Like it was not fleshed out enough to be compelling for you,
right.
or
It was not. It was
there?
not. No, I could see where it would belong there, but it was not flushed out enough. It gets to a little bit of what Alonso was saying, that they felt the need to explain everything in a conversation. Sometimes a conversation that takes days, and they would do it with 3 sentences.
I mean, look at a movie like 2001. That's a movie where you have to kind of meet it halfway and do a little of the legwork on your own and think about what's he saying, what's this about, what are the issues at play here. And this movie is not having that. It's like, it's this and then this, and we're going to tell you this, and we also think this.
And yet also it has a lot of visual reminders of 2001. And again, the Michael Fassbender robot reminds me of Hal in some ways, in the ambiguous role he plays.
Yeah, and the mistrustworthy robot from the first Alien.
So the fact that it can be compared to Alien and to some other really, really classic, important sci-fi. And then there's also, I don't want to give it away,
but it falls short.
But it's a neat thing they do in the movie. The film that the Michael Fassbender robot looks to for his pop culture guidance. Right. I don't want to give it away because it's a neat moment when it happens, but again, like you're going to compare yourself to classic cinema, you got to stand up to it and meet it.
And so those are the things that I think we've gone over some of the things that are wrong, but there's a lot right.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's great to look at.
It's stunningly beautiful.
There were some supremely terrifying moments.
Totally.
Very, very suspenseful.
Beautifully paced, really expertly paced.
You know, it's funny because, the thing about Alien was I think it was the first time that it presented space travel as being kind of grimy, as being just like this, like working on an oil tanker. Like there was nothing like slick or sci-fi about it. It was just kind of dank and shadowy, and probably needed a good mopping. This movie, the ships are still new.
Right.
It's still all very gleaming and la-di-da. But you still have those characters who are like. You have the scientists, you have the corporation people, and then you have the people who that's their job, and they're not. No one is awestruck by the grandeur of space. They're just like, I gotta empty the load pay
I'm a space worker. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Idris Elba was good, and I really liked to. He was so amazing to everybody who watched The Wire. One of the most memorable television characters in years and years. And the film roles, like maybe with the exception of Rock and Rolla, where he's really part of an ensemble cast, the movies have been pretty bad.
He was in This Christmas.
What's that one with Beyonce?
He was in the one with Beyonce and Ali Larter, right?
Was she
obsessed!
Obsessed, right.
In her hotel room? I love that movie.
Yeah, right. So I was just glad to see him being a badass, and I really like him. He's a terrific actor. Yeah, I mean, there were moments in it that were terrifying. There were moments where you had to look away. In Alien, there's the scene where they're looking for the cat, and where I saw it on television. I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it on television, and I kept turning the TV on. That's what I remember. It's among the tensest moments I've ever had watching a movie. And there were moments here where
you had to look away. Were there moments where you were looking away?
There were also some gross moments, but they were contextually gross.
No, and you know that this certain creature is coming, like it's kind of tantalizing. You know it's coming, and yet you're so stressed out.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And if you're afraid of surgery and monsters, you get a twofer.
The flip side is, it turns out giving birth not a big deal.
In the future.
Yeah, in the event, not a big deal. All right, so numbers. What do you got?
I will say 7. I think it's a solid film, but not a great one, and certainly not as great as the movies it's following.
7.2.
7.4. I did. I liked it. I wish they'd shut up about God, but it was.
Enough with the God.
Enough with the God. So obviously, 7.2. A recommendation. You should definitely go see it. It's fun, and people should feel comfortable.
Tomato? Do we know?
Tomato-ish. I can look really fast. I think it is somewhere in the 80-ish range. I'm going to look really, really fast. I don't want a special offer. Quit popping up. Matt, actually, fix your website. I don't want a special offer when I'm looking for something that really, really matters. Who can get it faster? Who can get it faster?
iPad versus iPad Nano.
Upcoming.
We can edit this part, I
No, this is the best part.
This is the best that we've done the entire time.
Put a clock on the screen.
75%.
Fuck.
All right.
I hate losing.
So we're right about there.
Yeah.
We are right about there.
76.
I have 75 on mine.
Of an update.
This just in.
Trombones in the big parade.